Here we are, guys.
They're pleased it's safe to live in.
We work in Victoria Street within the 4 avenues, and when it struck, I looked out, I saw cars being smashed into one another, people terrified, and people falling over on the footpath, and we just sort of gripped onto each other, and then I ran next door to tell Stu that I was all right.
The first words that came out of people's mouths were, there'll be deaths. There's got to be deaths. The people are going to die in this.
And we have got a couple of personal friends that have been killed, and that's always hard.
And then remember that woman pushing those 2 little kiddies in a pram?
Oh, yes.
And I stopped and said, goodness, you can't be doing this. Can we give you assistance? And she, well, that was a real fog as far as she was, because she was just glazed. Her eyes were just glazed. And she, in bare feet, jeans pulled up to her knees, 2 toddlers, they wouldn't have been any more than 2 or 3 in a double pram, and she was just heading off wherever she had to get to. However far that was, I don't know, but...
There's an aftershock, you go. It's all right, it's only an aftershock.
Yeah, it's okay. We're fairly comfortable coming back here now, but any time that there is a shake, it just sort of takes us right back.
They say they're coping, but Saskia and Stu haven't left one another's side since the big shake. 20 years ago, they lost a child, Saskia's adult son. They know grief, and for Christchurch, the grief is coming in huge waves of realisation.
But I think, that brave face is still being held on to by a lot of people, and I think it's going to take a wee bit of time. Probably it's a bit like a death, which we have experienced, and I don't mean to sound the wrong way, but it's all sort of rosy until the funeral, and then time passes, and all of a sudden the flowers stop arriving, and then it sort of sets in that the loved one wasn't coming back in through the front door, and I think that time hasn't hit yet, and that's still going to be a wee way away for the majority of the city.
I'm sure that in 2 years' time, this area will not have any sign of any earthquake at all. I'm sure of it. I'm sure this place will rebuild itself because the people in it. And it's just the most wonderful place to live. And it's the best kept secret in New Zealand for most of us, or we thought. We thought it was, but obviously it's not going to be so sought after now. Just down here, it's like a ghost town now in Sumner, like been vacated, vacated. The one down below, that one has gone. See the tiled roof and the bricks.
On one level, it's real estate, but on another, these abandoned homes are communities, support structures. It's a reflection of the fear and uncertainty that's part of daily life now.
There's not much left. But then we have this darling little couple up the back here, 80-year-olds that haven't moved. They've been here all the way through.
Those darlings are Jim and Judith, both in their 80s. They're without power and water. Judith's terrified. She wants to flee. Jim's staunch. He wants to stay in his house. So for now, they're putting on a brave face. Their son Ian was terrified for his parents. He was on the first flight down from Auckland to give support.
This morning's the first morning I've woken up not crying. I've been crying every other morning.
How she can recover at times is by ringing her friends, especially one in Auckland.
Yes. Yeah.
Who can
friends are a great help.
Just make Jill's life a lot easier.
We had a bad patch the other morning, and Jim and Ian were both trying to be boss, and they wouldn't speak to each other. And I rang up Margaret and I said, "Oh, it's absolutely terrible here. I'm crying all the time, and Jim's being so bossy, and Ian's trying to put up with us both." And Margaret said, "I'll tell you how to fix that. Go and get them both to stand up and say it's family hug time." And we had family hug time, and it's been all right since. Oh. I was in the telecom shop in Shirley. I've been trying to go on broadband, and I bought this broadband package and left it on the counter because there was this terrible shake. And the girl behind the counter, whose name was Laura, I fell over as I was going out, and she threw herself on top of me and said, "Don't you worry, dear, if the ceiling falls in, it'll get me first."
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Wasn't that wonderful? But I came home to the bridge down at Ferrymead and that was closed. An elderly gentleman on the bridge said to me, "How far have you got to go, dear?" And I said, "Oh, probably 5 miles. I hope to get there before it's dark." And he said, "You'll get there before it's dark. One of my chaps will take you." Jim was pleased to see me, weren't you, dear?
Yes, yes. I was worried, and I tried to contact you by cell phone, but
That had all gone.
yeah. And it was quite a wait.
But you realise, how lovely it is to have a lovely son and a great husband, even although he won't shift.
Yeah, so if it hadn't been for the guys on the bridge, though, she could still be walking home.
About after 3 days, we had oh, there's a shake.
That's
Oh,
all right.
Please, God, don't let there be any more shakes tonight.
When I was really young, I went through another earthquake, and I lived in Lower Hutt. Lower Hutt, they had a major one there, which affected me quite badly at the time because the next door neighbour's chimney rolled down the roof and landed on the fence and came in, and some of the rocks landed on the end of my bed.
The beautiful view from their dream home has a different perspective now. Judith is extremely stressed. With age, she says she's much more sensitive. Ian's dropped everything to be here. Now he just wants to get his parents away.
At this stage, I'll sort of stay as long as it takes. I'm trying to encourage Mum and Dad to go up north to their good friends or come with me if they want to, or Mum's likely to, and I'm trying to kid Dad into at least coming for the day to get him out of the place and fly him back at that night if he won't stay away overnight. But he's a bit stubborn and grumpy at times. So if I was a betting man, I wouldn't be putting my money on getting Dad to go. It's going.
Just cooking your beans, Jim, that you picked this morning.
Something else I grow is beans.
There's no flight booked back because Mum needs a bit more emotional help and the house needs physical help. Oh, you cooked a wonderful meal, Mum.
Oh, thank you.
Without lights and a tally, they're all off to bed before it's dark. Down the hill, a doctor and his young family have set up camp. It's no longer safe to live in their apartment. People here are really just beginning to take it all in. Most are still in shock, some grieving, others trying to manage with every hour of every day.
One of the difficulties in our culture, particularly with males, is that us males get a lot of permission to show angry, aggressive feelings, but not much permission to show hurt. And oftentimes, if a guy is feeling really quite distressed about something, what he'll show outwardly will be irritability or anger or intolerance, where underneath he might be feeling quite worried or quite scared or quite hurt, but it's not okay for us males to talk about that.
Everyone has the potential to tip over the edge.
Some people have learned really quite chronic worry patterns, and they evaluate events in extreme. Instead of something being unfortunate, it's terrible. And that language generates more emotional, physiological arousal. Learning to manage that anxiety and keep it down is really quite important.
Christchurch used to be known as the accessible city. Tim Ward couldn't leave his home for the first 7 days after the quake. Broken paths and liquefaction made it impossible for him to get around. He was trapped, without power or water.
Like my electric bed, I was sitting in bed at the time with the power going off. I've been sitting up for the last week. My carer was in the kitchen here, and this had no warning this time. It just really hit, and it was really violent shake. And my carer tried to run down to my room to get to me, but he had no chance. He was bouncing off the walls.
The police say 200 homes have been evacuated in the Redcliffs and Clifton areas near Sumner. They say the evacuation's a precaution after fishers were found.
Listening to the radio, just, yeah, you couldn't comprehend what's going on. I guess if you're able-bodied and you're out there seeing all the devastation, like, yeah, I guess I'm cut off. I still can't comprehend how bad it is out there, so, yeah, I think I've been pretty lucky, really.
Tim had only just come out of a deep depression following the car accident that left him paralysed. Now this. He's drawing on the resilience learned during his painful recovery.
Maybe I've got a bit more patience now being in a chair, like I was, yeah, I guess being cut off, but you just had to wait it out, really. Until we got power and water back on, everything seems normal life again.
The family's moved out. They've got a flight to Auckland and are staying with relatives there, which is fantastic for them and a huge relief for me. The most difficult thing is, when are we going to have a normal life again? And I don't know the answer to that question yet. You have to deal with your own emotions continuously. They change. Pretty early on, I was at the stage of just being angry that it had happened again. I'm not angry at anyone. I'm angry that I thought I knew. I thought I could control the situation for my family, and the situation turned out to be different, and I don't like the unexpected.
Saskia and Stu have attended funerals for two of their friends. They still can't live in their home. Judith spent 2 weeks away from Christchurch and feels less anxious. The footpaths around Tim's home remain inaccessible. The Nye family is back home. Sleep doesn't come easy. All of us at Attitude, as with everyone around the country, will continue to think of the people of Christchurch as they rebuild their lives in the weeks, months, and years to come. Next week on Attitude, 8 young Samoan athletes with intellectual disabilities are creating new awareness. They're off to the Special Olympics World Games in Athens.
I am very happy to go to Athens.
Old beliefs used to say that, the family was cursed if you have a disabled child.
For some, it's an answer to a lot of prayers and how to involve or inclusion of their children.
We're not all together there at the acceptance stage, but we're fairly getting closer.
Attitude was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.